Shall we begin?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Enough to Keep Going podcast. This is episode 190. That's right, we're almost up to that 200, the big boy 200. We'll see what we have going on for that show. I don't know if we've talked about anything for 200. I think this is the longest we've probably gone, right?
On a consistent
show.
numbering?
Yeah,
Yes.
we
Yes.
haven't changed in a while. It's been a while. I'm your host, Towmaster99, and with me tonight, yes, that is Mr. DBQ Hams. DB, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here, even if we're not quite at 200 yet, but we'll get there. I have no doubt.
Yeah, we got a little bit to go, but it'll be here in no time. Just two of us tonight. Swiss and Gamer Logic are off. They will be back, or at least maybe one of them will be back. We'll see next week. Tonight is the deep dive episode. Excuse me. We'll jump into the news from the past couple weeks and pick it apart. Maybe tear it up and throw it away. Maybe keep it. Who knows? We'll see. First up, we got industry moves. DB, some stuff going on over at Blizzard. What's going on?
Yeah. So last week, on I guess the 20th of April, Jeff Kaplan announced there was a post on Blizzard's website. Just Jeff Kaplan, who's been with Blizzard for 19 years and has been the head of Overwatch since its development, was on Titan beforehand and a number of other projects throughout Blizzard. And again, Titan was the MMO that was scrapped and from its ashes rose Overwatch. That Kaplan has announced that he's moving on from Blizzard. So after 19 years, he's moving on, and Aaron Keller is stepping into his role as the lead on Overwatch. Aaron Keller has also been with Blizzard for 18 years on a variety of roles, support roles, but this kind of thrusts him into the limelight a little bit more. And actually, just today, GameSpot had a nice interview with Keller in terms of kind of not only his succession of Jeff Kaplan, but also his role in taking on Overwatch. And so he's been involved with Overwatch, as well, and part of Overwatch 2 from its beginning. So it's a logical step for him to move into it. I think in some ways it's more about a 19-year veteran at Activision Blizzard leaving than it is someone new stepping into the role of lead for Overwatch 2. And I think in some ways this story can get framed lots of different ways, right? Like here is a creative person that spent 19 years in a position and maybe is looking for a change, looking for a different outlet, a way to dive into some passion projects or try something new. And it also could be along with some of the exodus out of Blizzard Activision that we saw last year, with a number of not only kind of forced layoffs from Activision Blizzard, but also other long-term developers leaving, some developers starting up their own company. And whether this speaks to kind of the climate, the cultural work environment at Activision Blizzard or not, but that is kind of secondary at this piece. That it really is about Kaplan moving on, but it does raise questions that have been kind of circulating around the industry in terms of what the workspace in Blizzard is, and if it's obviously, at least not obviously, but it seems like from other reports from the past year or so that it's not the same type of creative place that it once was.
Yeah, I was never a big Overwatch guy. I don't know. Did you play a lot of Overwatch? I can't remember.
I enjoyed it. I don't know that I played a lot. I enjoy the co-op missions. I was never really too into never spent enough time with it to get into the PvP aspects. I spent some time definitely watching Overwatch League during its inaugural season, and the announcements that Overwatch 2 is going to have some story missions and other pieces with it. So I enjoy the Overwatch universe that they've created. I just am, that mode itself is not necessarily in my traditional wheelhouse.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I don't think they mentioned, or I shouldn't say, he has mentioned what he's going to be doing next. So it'd be interesting to see like where he goes and what he does, and just if he can maybe spark that magic again somewhere else, or just maybe he's going to not do anything in video games. Who knows, like how that's going to end up. And there's no mention of Overwatch 2 like when that was supposed to come out, right? They've just kind of just released that trailer. What was it, last year? The year before, I think it was.
It's 2 years ago at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah, and the BlizzCon Online this year, it's all expectations are that it's not coming this year because there really wasn't any new news about it at Blizz Online. So I think it is whether or not I wouldn't call it a troubled development. It's more
Yeah.
of it just in true Blizzard fashion, things take a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we'll have to definitely have to see where that goes. Yeah, I mean, I was never. I think I played a little bit of it.
Yeah, I remember
Back
you
on the
bouncing off of it
one.
relatively quickly.
Yeah,
Yep.
I could never get into that type of game. I didn't know there was like story missions though, so that would be
There's not in the standard game, but like they just finished up the archive, not necessarily season, but like they had a 3 week period where they had, they've had different kind of co-op missions at different points in time, usually around seasonal events. Like there's a horde mode for Halloween. They do like Overwatch history mode where you're running through some early missions of the Overwatch team when they're all in their blue uniforms with a certain segment, a certain select number of characters that fit that story. And they've opened that up even now in the archive mode where you can play those story missions with any character.
hmm.
So they've kind of toyed with it, but it hasn't really been something that they've pushed out in any real formal fashion.
Oh, okay. Probably something obviously that they're gonna, or not, I shouldn't say obviously, but maybe something they're leaving for the two Overwatch 2, more than likely.
Yeah, and then Overwatch 2, they've definitely talked like it's part of their plan.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So let's jump into the next gaming section here. It's um, our gaming subscription news of sorts here. So first up, Xbox. Xbox Wire actually is where I got this story from. So I think we had heard before that some of the multiplayer games, or maybe it was rumored, uh, some of the free online multiplayer games were going to be coming to us for free, uh, totally free, not locked behind the gold subscription or Ultimate Game Pass if you happen to have that. It's all kind of roll into one. So they officially announced it last week, where they're saying now over 50 games, free to play games that are available now will not be tied to Xbox Live Gold anymore. So, if you have an Xbox, you don't have to have Gold, you don't have to have Ultimate Game Pass or any kind of Game Pass. You can just play these for free. There's a link here that where you can see that, and they kind of update it. But they also list all the games here, and I'll go through a few of them real quick. Kind of the more notable ones. We got Apex Legends. Obviously, that's a big one, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. We have Fortnite, Brawlhalla, Call of Duty Warzone, Crackdown 1 and 2, which I don't even remember there being
It's not
online.
free to play. I think it must be because it's a Microsoft property, right?
Okay, yeah, I was like, wait a minute, was there multiplayer in that one though at all? In either of those two, of any kind?
That's a good question. I'm not down on my Crackdown enough to know.
Okay, I was just
But it's
wondering.
interesting that Crackdown 1 and 2 are, but not 3, which had a separate download for the multiplayer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they probably still trying to make money off of that off of that one. So, let's see. We have Dauntless, DC Universe Online, a couple of Dead or Alive's, 5 and 6. Excuse me. Those are fighting games for you people that don't know that. Defiance 2050, which I'm just gonna call out because that was back on the 360, where that game first came out. Destiny 2, Doritos Crash Course. That's a good one.
Thank you. I'm glad Doritos Crash Course is on there. Defiance. I had forgotten about Defiance.
Yeah, actually played that for a few months back on the 360. It wasn't too bad. That was probably like my first foray in any of those type of multiplayer games, MMOs or MMO shooter, I guess at that point. We got Fortnite. Obviously, that's a big one. Hyperscape, Killer Instinct, which I always forget about Killer Instinct. I play that every once in a while. I got Paladins, I can't talk. Fantasy Star Online 2, Realm Royale, which is kind of a bigger one. Roblox, Rocket League, Rogue Company, that's kind of a newer game in that kind of shooter genre. Smite, Spellbreak, Battle Royale, Magic Battle Royale, that's a good one. I like that one. Star Trek Online, Too Human, which I don't understand why that one's on there, but It's kind of weird. If that's the same game I'm thinking of, the Silicon Knights
I'm
one.
sure it's the Dennis Dyack one. Yeah.
Okay, that was kind of weird because that was another one I didn't think there was any kind of multiplayer, but I don't know.
It, it must. I mean, I don't. Again, I don't know. I do remember that it was free on Xbox Live at one point in time, but then they had pulled it from the store for a while too. So
Yeah, that's true. And then round out the W's here: Warface, Warframe, and then World of Tanks and World of Warships Legends, which just recently. I think Agaski has been playing those two. I shouldn't say I think. I know he's been playing those two. I don't know if he plays on my Xbox ever, but they're out there for everyone to enjoy now. You don't have to pay for it. There is a note here on 421. They removed Battle Ages, Battle Islands, and Gems of War. Those don't have online multiplayer, but you could still play those for free without the Xbox Live Gold. So Gems of War actually I play on the Switch, so that's actually a good one. It's like
yeah, it's by the Puzzle Quest people, or at
yeah,
least some of the developers from Puzzle Quest. Yep.
yeah. So that's kind of a cool one. So what do you think? Is this more of a clue that we're maybe gonna get rid of gold at some point here soon, or is this just kind of like, hey guys, here's something that you can do now, trying to get more people in?
I mean, I could see. I mean, there's been rumors about getting rid of gold, or just blending it all in and letting it fall to the wayside. I think this is more about they extended this to Fortnite previously. This was it, it provides some parity for other platforms, where on Switch and PlayStation, I believe on PlayStation, that many of these free to play games don't need PS Plus. And so I think this just creates the parity there, more so than it does kind of any signaling about the future of Xbox Live. It's more of providing a marketplace for free to play games that that if a player can go to another platform and play them without having to pay a subscription, it doesn't invest them or give them any incentive to stay within Microsoft's infrastructure. And so I
Yeah.
think this is more of that play than it is anything else.
Okay. Yeah, I was always, I guess I kind of always wondered, like, so like with these kind of games, like obviously now that's not on gold. Like say Fortnite, for instance, like that one I know on Switch obviously was never, and probably PSN too, was never behind any kind of their online paywall services. Um, so if that's the case, then do they still get a cut? Like I don't understand like the business end in back of that. Like how, like why would you want that on your system if somehow you're not getting like a piece of it? I'm
I
assuming
think
they are, but
Microsoft would get a cut of the microtransactions, right? If somebody's buying V-Bucks off of Fortnite, they have to buy it through the Microsoft store,
yeah,
and not through. This is where Epic and Apple got into the legal issues of kind of creating a workaround for that. So I think it does. The incentive here is that it makes that, or it doesn't necessarily make that money up, but the money that's being made on free to play games is really in the microtransaction area, whether it's a season pass or cosmetics or other things.
okay, all right, cool. So was there anything there that you would actually that you play that you have played that you kind of looking through the list?
Yeah, I mean, I've dabbled in DC Online before. I've definitely spent time with Apex and with the high res studios games like Smite and Paladins and Realm Royale. I was actually surprised. I thought Realm Royale was pretty dead. I know that high res has moved people off that team.
Hmm.
So I'm surprised to see it on there. So I mean, I think it's good for player bases, whether or not it shifts anything in terms of my playing. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, they're the same guys that do Paladins, right? You just said the Realm Royale guys.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. Yes. Yes,
I
it
was
was.
trying to remember. Like I knew they had another game on this list, but all right. So continuing on with Game Pass here, we have Knockout City, which I actually I guess there was a beta for this. I did not know that. I would have kind of
Yeah, there was
liked
an
to.
open beta for it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
It's fun. I mean, it's. I don't really know that I would even call it dodgeball, because you're kind of moving around a city map. There's a couple different maps. You can charge up your throw. You can catch the ball with a good button time.
Hmm.
You can throw the ball off a teammate. You can have a teammate roll up into a ball if you don't have a ball. So it does provide some co-op aspects to it. It's 3-on-3.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think the fact that as you're gonna as the story says, right, it's coming to to Game Pass and EA Play on day one,
Yeah.
which I think is excellent because this is a game that needs a player base in order for it to be sustainable. And I think we saw last what end of July, August of 2020 when EA tried this with Rocket Arena, which uh, launched as a $40 game or a $30 game and quickly died, and within a week or so was on EA Play. And so I think this is a really smart move from EA for to kind of just start off this way. And so it provides people a chance to dive in right away, to have a good server population, and hopefully get people interested in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is I didn't realize this was the team that made the Mario Kart Live home circuit game. So that's kind of interesting. Going from like a live
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
live racing game
Yep.
to dodgeball, which is kind of weird too. So you got to play it then, I'm assuming, since you seem to know a lot about it.
Yeah, I've played it for a weekend. Yeah.
So just looking, like when I was looking at the first trailer that they had released and a little bit of the preview gameplay, it reminded me a lot of shoot, no, what was the name? Ninjala, I think it is.
Ninjago. Yeah, Ninjala.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could see that, right? I mean, it is kind of it's a very cartoony style. It's a it's lighthearted.
yeah,
Um,
like very colorful.
it's it's not quite the same because of the difference in Ninjala, which is more melee based combat.
Yeah,
So I think that this plays a little, well, obviously it plays different because it's it's dodgeball versus smacking people around with giant foam bats and things like that. But it has a similar feel. The verticality, I feel like Ninjala has, it was faster. I think one of the things that I noticed and one of the knocks against it that I felt was the maps are nice size, but you move at a slower pace, which is helpful for aiming or for hitting people, at least for me. Um, but it also means that you don't necessarily, the maps are really well designed. I just didn't spend enough time in the entirety of the map because there's only 3 players on each team. And so you end up kind of congregating around, you're not spending nearly as much time in all the aspects of the map. And maybe that is, maybe the maps are built that way because maybe 3v3 is where it starts, but it rolls into they have special events where it's 5v5 or 6v6, but it,
yeah.
then potentially allows the map to kind of stretch with that as well.
So like the actual dodgeball game, is there a dividing line, or you can just go wherever you want?
You can just go wherever you want,
Oh,
right?
okay.
There are balls that spawn in certain places. Um, there are like teleport spots. There's jump pads, if I remember right. Uh, there's you get a couple kind of special moves for your character, um, which aren't overpowered and have a charge to them like many other PvP types of games.
Right.
And but no, there's not a dividing line. It's not a straight kind of dodgeball. It's a battle arena dodgeball to some degree.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so you'll be able to get this on Game Pass, like you mentioned earlier. Unfortunately for the Switch, it is $20. You do have to pay for it on the Switch. Is this? I'm assuming it's coming out for PlayStation 2 or
Yeah, I mean the beta that was out was on all platforms,
okay.
or at least on
Oh yeah,
PC.
there
It
it
was
is.
for
Yeah,
sure as well. So yep.
yeah, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. All right. Yeah, cool. All right, yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out just to see kind of how it is. Um, I guess I guess I asked you the map question, but I mean, was it a fairly large map when you're at the battlefield or arena, I should say, like compared to like Ninjala's?
The
It's
maps
fairly
felt
decent
bigger than
size.
Ninjala.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
certainly they
Okay.
felt bigger than Ninjala. They feel smaller than like Overwatch Paladins type of map.
Okay.
So
Interesting. All right. So from one EA game to the next here, DB.
I was from one, dodgeball battle arena to one battle royale battle arena.
Yeah.
So yes, Apex Legends has announced that the rumored arena mode is coming with season 9. Season 9 starts up next week. Season 9 has also been teasing we'll get a new character. We get a little more ties into Titanfall with season 9, but the new piece here is a new mode, and the first new mode since it launched in what, January, February of 2019.
Yep.
So this new mode it's at first blush it feels like a mashup of battle royale and a MOBA, because you do have kind of a buying phase in the beginning where you've got the opportunity to buy equipment or weapons. Uh, the arenas are a little smaller, but it is also kind of a one kill type of mode. Like your teammates can revive you, but there's not, multiple spawns as well. And so that it is 3v3, and I have enjoyed uh, the world of Apex Legends because I enjoy the world of Titanfall, and I'm definitely interested in this mode, in part because I'm really curious to see how this translates, to see how the player base takes to it. If this pulls people off of Battle Royale, or if this brings in new people to Apex Legends that aren't necessarily Battle Royale fans, that are more kind of traditional PvP shooter types of fans. And it feels like a nice blending of Titanfall's multi and Apex Legend. That's right. Like it makes sense from a, again, being this is a Respawn game, and the team, the chops that Respawn have with their history of Call of Duty, it seems very reasonable that they would throw this kind of mode in here and put their own little spin on it.
Yeah, I know. I know. In this article too is from Kotaku. When they're talking to the one of the developers, he's like, "Yeah, I know it sounds kind of convoluted, but you just got to play it, and I guess you kind of get used to everything." Though I know the guy writing the article. I'm sorry, who this is, Riley McLeod. He's like, "Well, it sounds like super complicated, but I'm assuming once you get into it, you'll get used to it, and just kind of roll with the punches."
Yeah, and I could see. I mean, I would think that it's going to have, similar to, what Overwatch and Paladins does, where your team is spawning into a confined area in the beginning, and you've got a certain period of time to before the actual match starts, and in that time you're going around and either looting equipment and chests to gear up, or also buying and in some ways it's the skill tree specking that you do prior to the beginning of some mobile games, that you do beginning of even a Paladins game, that you have the ability to do some upgrades, or to at least choose an upgrade path before the match starts. So I think it the learning curve will take a few to really figure out not only what skill trees work for what play styles, but also to kind of get into the pace of how people loot and get that gear up before the match starts. I'll be kind of curious to see, because it is 3v3 and it's kind of a one kill game, how quickly these matches go. Is this something that's going to be a 10 to 12 minute kind of round, and or I mean a 10 to 12 minute kind of match with multiple rounds in it. Yeah, and I think that will be interesting to see kind of what that pace ends up looking like. The 3v3 piece of it, it has some shades of Trials of Osiris from Destiny, where it's 3v3, and it's kind of it's that same kind of uh, you know your teammates can respawn you. There's longer timers there. Um, but yeah, I'm really curious. We don't know all the details of it. We haven't really seen, the stories out there on it right now. Kind of talk us through and write us through the narrative of how a game goes, but we haven't really seen a lot of hands-on gameplay. At least I haven't yet at this point. Have you?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't really seen anything. And
So, as an Apex Legends player and a Call of Duty player, is this something that is in your wheelhouse, or what are your thoughts here, Tao?
yeah, because you mentioned that like the time and like how long the rounds might be, and even when here talking in the article, he's saying all these rules that they have in place is so things don't kind of drag on, especially if one team's totally getting annihilated. We can can reset after in between each rounds. And he mentioned also the weapons don't carry over in between the rounds, so you kind of just start fresh each time. So yeah, kind of on the Call of Duty side, it kind of calls to me. And if it's like Call of Duty matches, like usually about 10 minutes or so, so that'd be right around the right time, at least for me, to kind of jump in, play a quick round and jump out. And just like any other battle royale game, same with Apex. As you get more into the game, it's going to take longer. You're at least, I'd say at the very least, like 15 to 20 minutes on average. If you kind of survive at least halfway through, the 100. Well, I think actually the Apex is a little bit less than that, but still, it's usually about 20 or 30 minutes if you go through a full match. So this sounds a little bit better. Hey, I'm just gonna jump in. I only have like maybe a half hour to play something. I'll jump. I don't want to play a full game of battle royal, so I'll just jump into the arena mode and try that out. So yeah, like you said, and like the article says, it probably will get used to. You have to get used to the new rules, because it's not just hey, running gun and I'm gonna shoot somebody. You upgrade your weapons and you do all these other kind of things. You got potential ultimates that you can do in tactical abilities, kind of like in Call of Duty. Like kind of sounds like kill streaks. So it might kind of you might just be right at home with this. And same thing with Titanfall 1 and 2. You kind of had that same thing. So I wonder if they're kind of bringing that over a little bit, if it's going to feel more Titanfall-y, if that's a word.
Well, yeah, maybe
interesting.
depending on what the maps end up looking like. I also think it'll be interesting to see, because of the variety of characters in Apex Legends, like if some lend themselves more to this, or what that balance looks like in terms of who's more viable, kind of within a meta of this.
Yeah, and I didn't see it in the article, but I'm assuming everybody keeps their same abilities. I don't know. They didn't really mention that, I don't think.
They haven't said they don't,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that would make sense that they would, because that's how players have learned them. And switching up those abilities, almost creates a whole different, not only a different mode, but a whole totally different game to some degree.
Yeah. It'll just be, or maybe if somehow they tweak it somehow, like their different abilities. So I mean, everybody has like their one special, and then like their super special, and then there's some like I don't know how to say it. There's basically everybody has three different abilities, but the one is like you always have it. So like the one guy Bloodhound, or actually I think it's a woman Bloodhound. She has the ping, where it kind of pings their surrounding area, and then her big ability is another ping, but then she also like gets like super, kind of like super speed, and she can move a little bit faster, a little bit more agile. But then she has a third ability she always has, where she can see actually the enemy's footprints, and it actually kind of tells you, there's like a number there that tells you like, hey, this person was there 10 seconds ago or 20 seconds ago. So, and that's always there. But you have to be fairly close in the area to where they were to see that. So it'll be interesting to see if they still keep that or not. And if these arenas are smaller, which I'm assuming they are, since it's an arena, it's going to be a small little area. If that's even going to be helpful, I mean, I guess it would be if there's obstacles and stuff. But still, it's if everything's moving so fast, I don't know if those abilities are going to be, as in addition to the game mode, if not. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It'll be interesting. And I know that some of the maps they call here on the article, I guess a couple of them are new, to like totally new areas, and then two of them are kind of just taken from the previous maps, or the ones that are already out there, from Kings Canyon, I think it's called. And I'm trying to remember the other one, from Olympus. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. And there was one thing, like when I go in there and it's just, okay, you get this big like UI, and then it's just this little dinky trios and duos, and that's all you had. And then there's, I think, like ranked too, where that's like the bigger, where the super pros play in. But I mean, otherwise that's all there is. I mean that's kind of what battle royal is, but it's kind of nice when you have some more choices in there. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Is this gonna? I don't know. You dabbled in it a little bit. Is this gonna get you back in for at least just to try it?
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely come back in for this. I've dabbled on and off in I should say, like once a year, I dip into Apex Legends and play around a little bit. But yeah, I will definitely give this a try. I think it might give me a reason to try to hook some previous, somebody like World Voyager, who is more of a Call of Duty Battlefield person and not necessarily a battle royale person,
Yeah,
to see if we can hook him into this and play together a little bit as well.
nice. Yeah, I wonder. I had a thought now; it just escaped me. I was gonna say something. Dang it! It always happens. I always forget to write it down. Um, I'll think about it in a second. But kind of just going into the next article, what kind of ties into is Titanfall 2 saw a resurgence this past couple or the past week or two on Steam, 650%. The player base jumped up. This is from the last 2 days. This is just from the 27th, so just a couple days ago. So back on, or this kind of covers the last 30 days of daily peak active players. So there was 6,815, which kind of seems kind of low, but this is a few-year-old game. So, and that's up 500%. I'm sorry, yeah, 500% from 1,940 daily users back in March. So yeah, a big jump there. And then they kind of give the single day record or peak performance of people connecting, which was the old record was 13,603, which was back on June 28th, 2020. And then this just past Sunday, it jumped up to 16,974 people checked in on Titanfall 2, just on Steam. This is just Steam, just PC. So it's kind of interesting that it and like I said, like these numbers, you kind of see like, oh, it's only like a couple thousand, but it's big numbers for a 3-4 year old game. And also they give a couple of reasons that. Sorry, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Is it 4? Is 5 years almost,
Is it
isn't it?
five
Or
years
is it
now?
2007? I don't remember.
They said in the
I
article
think it
here. Let's
was.
see. Hold on a second.
I think Titanfall is 2016 because it came out same year as Battlefield 1, right? Because it kind of got squished in between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty that year,
Yeah,
which was, yeah. So I think it's a 5 year.
yeah,
I mean, it's wonderful. It's a great playing game. It's great to see, the player base still, or a re-engagement of the player base, and if it's the Apex Titanfall content that's coming in season 9 is a reason for people to dip back in. If it's the fact that this was super cheap and it's also on EA Play, that there's lots of ways to get at this game in a very affordable way.
yeah. It was 75% off. Excuse me, this past weekend. So I was trying to. I thought they had it on the article about when it had come out, but I don't. Maybe I was looking at something else. But yeah, yeah. This is one game that I kind of jumped back into for the last Pix plays, even though I didn't get to. I wasn't on the show, so. But that was
2016, October
2016.
28th.
Okay. So yeah, I think it just came out though. It didn't come out on PC at the same time. I don't think, right? Maybe that's what
Well,
I was talking about.
it came out on Origin, but it came out to last year or whenever the EA games came back to Steam.
Yeah,
So a year and a half
last
ago
year.
at this
Yeah,
point, probably, I think, is when it came to Steam.
yeah. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but it's a great. I mean, Titanfall 2 is a really good game. I still haven't even touched the single player, unfortunately. And I know
And
everybody
the single
raves.
player is great.
Yeah, they rave about it. Yeah,
But I mean, the multiplayer is just fun. I mean, the pace of it, the movement, the abilities. Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Titanfall 2. Yep, very enjoyable.
yeah. And then they kind of go on and say that there's no word on Titanfall 3. The last time they were asked, the respawn was asked. There's like, yeah, we're not working on it right now. So obviously they're busy with Apex and Star Wars games, and I guess they have. And wasn't there a report about a new game that they were working on too, a new IP?
It seems reasonable.
I thought I
Uh,
saw recently.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know how many kind of they've rebranded one of the existing EA studios under a Respawn banner.
Oh, okay.
And so that's potentially where that comes in. But yeah, I mean, they've got Apex continuing in development. It's confirmed that Jedi Order is getting a sequel. Uh, they had one team just finish up with what was it? The Medal of Honor VR game that
Oh yeah,
launched back in December.
I forgot about
And
that.
actually,
Yeah.
there was a documentary within that game that just won an Academy Award. So,
Oh wow.
uh, so yeah, I mean, they've definitely kept themselves busy. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And Apex, which I thought it was a lot longer after Titanfall 2, but it's only 30 years. I mean, that's kind of a long time, I guess, too. But I thought for some reason it was like 100 years or something past the last Titanfall game, but it's only 30 years in between Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends. So it's nice to see that we'll see that Titanfall character coming in next week. That'd be kind of cool. So
Right, and this character is the daughter of one of the kind of villains in Titanfall 2, if
yeah,
I get the backstory right.
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe we'll start seeing more Titanfall stuff coming in. But yeah, old tech though, and Apex Legends.
Even bringing back in, I mean, in some ways, I really enjoyed the kind of quote unquote story mode within the original Titanfall, right? The
Yeah,
idea of the imperial kind of corporation and the the rebellion of the outer planets aspect, I think of the mining colonies or whatever the you know, general sci-fi tropes in space, but they did a nice job of kind of creating a world around that, and so there's definitely lore to pull from within Apex if they want to continue moving in that direction.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see what her like ability, like they kind of show it in the preview trailer that they kind of put out there. But it'll be nice to see like what her actual abilities will be. Like she has like a jetpack at one point that's kind of reminiscent of like almost a Titan, like a part of a Titan or something. So we'll have to see what that will actually be. But yeah, I'm excited for this though. It'll be fun next week, and I'm gonna keep playing Titanfall 2 because it's a really fun game. And I know a lot of people, it's all about the Titans, but when you're actually on foot and kind of jumping around, it's pretty smooth transition, just like wall running and jumping through the windows, and that was one of the reasons I really got.
I would go be say pretty smooth. I would say it's incredibly fluid. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. I mean, I think the aspect of it is fun, but the non-Titan combat is so satisfying that it's not necessarily a make or break. That there's such a solid game there.
no, yeah,
So, and I think in some ways that fluid movement has translated into Apex Legends as well, and that helps Apex kind of keep its status as one of the what I would say the top 3 battle royales at this point.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. I'd say top three, at very least top five for sure. Yeah, yeah, and it was kind of, I mean, yeah, it kind of stinks if if you're just a pilot run around, yeah, you walk up to a Titan. That's usually you're gonna lose. But I think they had actually just a pilot mode at one point. I don't know if it's still. I can't remember if I still saw that in there or not. But where it's just pilots running around the city and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Still a pretty good game though, even at that point. All right. Well, we still got a good bit of time here. So if we wanna jump into your epic story, if you want to go into
Sure,
that.
I'll hit the Epic one real quick and then we'll move on to your last one as well. So it was announced that the Epic Store is adding in a number of, well, not a number, 5
That's a number.
apps to the store. Yeah, that is a number. Technically, that is a number. You're right. Adding 5 apps in, and some of those include things like Discord, also the itch, uh, kind of the itch game hub in some ways. Like this is adding a store within a store that you could buy things within itch.io and that you would buy just off the website. And Epic is not getting any revenue from a game that you would buy on itch.io. And I think it is one. It's I think this is designed not necessarily just like we were talking about the Microsoft piece. Like this is not designed as a revenue stream. That this is a way to keep people in the Epic Store infrastructure. That if you can get Discord within Epic Store and that you can continue to link in and stay within that infrastructure as you're playing other things or potentially enticing you into their game sales, this is a benefit to Epic. I don't see really a downside to this. I could see them continuing to add more. There's comments in the Verge story around this that it brings some parity with things that are in the Microsoft store in terms of the platforms. I mean the games or the apps. There we go. We'll get there. And so I think that's beneficial. I think this is for Epic that has plenty of money to buy shopping malls for business, for office space. I think they can certainly do this as a gesture to give people a reason to kind of stay in their infrastructure. I don't know that it shifts anything in terms of the dynamics, but it certainly is a benefit, a value add to the store.
Yeah, I just thought. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of confused on the whole app thing. Like, and even not just Epic Game Store, because when these different services bring out these apps, it's like, oh, I could just go to the website and get it. Like, and when you're explaining it just now, yeah, it makes sense. But when I first saw the article, I was like, it's okay. I mean, like, it's nice. Like, I can, yeah, I guess that if I was an Epic Store guy, and I'm just not a PC guy, and gaming in general. So maybe that's why it doesn't make total sense to me, or it didn't. But it would make sense that, hey, I'm in Epic Store, I'm in the UI. It's like, hey, I wanna download Brave, which is a browser. I don't want to use Chrome or Edge or any of these other ones anymore. I could just do it right there.
Yeah, right. I mean, it does. We've got Brave, as you said, the open source browser. We've got iHeartRadio. We've got the 3D model tool KenShape, painting app Katrina or Cortina. There's no
Krita? Yeah, I don't
Krita.
know.
There we go. There we go. I got to get the N out of there. And then, as the story points out, they've had Spotify since December.
Yeah, I didn't even realize they had Spotify.
Neither did I.
I don't remember that.
I think I'm going to say that maybe this is the grumpy old gamer aspect of this. Like, we know that the rest of the web exists, so why you wouldn't type what you wanted into a Google search bar and go and download it there.
Yeah.
But it may simply be that people spend their time, that certain segment of gamers that spend their time just within the App Store, or predominantly within the App Store, and getting these apps, or spend their time within the Epic Games Store or within the Epic Game Launcher, and that getting these apps in that launcher just puts more eyeballs on it. Is potential, right? Because we don't even see, there's not any type of kind of strong integration with Epic only games, right? You're not playing iHeartRadio in the back of your Dauntless Monster Hunts. There's not a reason why these should be blended together. I think it really is just, it doesn't really cost anything to do this, and it provides from those companies, for those developers of Brave, it's just one more place to get eyeballs on their product.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like when you go to the App Store here on Epic Game Store, like I just went through the link in the article and it took me there to the website. Like the only thing you really see with any other game is Fortnite has like a special deal on Spotify when you get Spotify Premium, where you get like 3 months of the or you get like a month of the Fortnite Crew, which is their subscription service deal within Fortnite now, where you get like an exclusive character and some V-Bucks and some other cosmetics and stuff. So that's like the only thing that I see right now. And it's like, okay, I mean, I guess like in the future, they might start integrating a little bit more, but I can see maybe like smaller stuff like Brave. I never even heard of Brave before. So, I mean, there you go. Now I know that there's another web browser out there that I can potentially use, or the modeling software. And not that I'm a modeler, but there's stuff out there that maybe the smaller guys can jump in there and get noticed. So yeah, it's interesting though. We'll see how that goes. And I know some people, maybe here on the show, or other people might be like, I don't spend my time at Epic Games Store. But you think about it, these are for people growing up with this kind of stuff, and like you said, they're always just going to be in that UI. So might as well throw it in there. It's a convenience thing for them, I guess. So we'll see. All right. Our last story here, and actually this comes from Mr. Swiss Guard, and this comes from PC Gamer, from Alan Dexter. Oculus Quest 2. So, fairly cheap VR headset, $299 is the price tag for this one. And I believe this one, yeah, this is just the totals. This is a standalone unit, so you don't need any cables or anything to your PC. Even though I think you can link it up to a PC if you have
yeah, you can do like a pass through.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's the Oculus Link. Is that what it's called?
I think that's what it's called. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get this pretty great headset. I think it's one of the leading headsets out there right now, probably because of the price tag. It's so cheap. Um, but there is a 799 version of this headset, which in the article they say this is mostly for business. Businesses will get this version. And the one big difference is same thing. Same headset. You get the controllers. You can still use it on PC if you want. But the one major difference here is there is no requirement for a Facebook login. So you don't need Facebook. You just, I'm assuming, you just jump into it and you can just play games or develop stuff or do whatever you want to do. So in the article, I guess they're saying how that $500 difference is the price of basically the data that they collect, that Facebook collects from the $299 version when you have to sign into Facebook. They kind of mentioned they have just trying to see some of the data stuff that they get from the headset. I just lost it. Where did it go? So they kind of, they spell out like what they're doing within when you sign up and stuff like that. But they give you, kind of weird. They collect the physical dimensions of like the space around you, your hand size, which is kind of weird, play area, like I just said, and then just like other stuff like device ID and IP address. Just Mac, if there's any kind of MAC address and stuff like that. Obviously, they're gonna pull that stuff, but
How are they going to know what gloves and couch to sell me if they don't have the measurements of my hand size in my
that's right.
room?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, maybe a gaming chair, a couch, and TV.
It is
So
interesting that they thrown a price tag on. There was pushback when this was announced, right? Like they gave kind of the sunsetting of the Rift S, that if you have a account prior to a certain date, I think it was actually 2021
yeah,
or 2022, that they were gonna that would be grandfathered in, and then they have come out and you would need to create an account by that time. And anything coming forward, the new Oculus Quest and the Quest 2 needs you need a Facebook login for that. And so to come out after the pushback and to give this as an option, one, it's interesting from an economic point of view. Like, did they see enough of a dip in sales projections that they decided that this was worthwhile, or is this is the also ran, like, it doesn't really cost them a whole lot. They don't think that there's going to need to be, they're not going to move a lot of units related to it, but it's a PR move to say, well, if you don't want a Facebook, we have a unit for you, to kind of quell critics more than it is to provide a alternative platform.
yeah. I guess the weird thing too is that in the article they were saying how this was aimed at businesses. Like, I guess like certain businesses might need a
Which
headset.
makes sense, right? I mean, for the Rift, because it is PC based. So this is the Rift, not the Quest, right? No, the
No,
Quest.
this is the
Okay.
Quest. Yeah,
So
this
the
is the
Quest
Quest.
2, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess if there are the potential of apps being developed for virtual reality is certainly real. We've seen that. We've seen that implementation in medical fields, things like that, for
yeah,
training. So I could see where this, potentially, and that pricing actually makes sense. Like if this is more of an enterprise business type of model, then that pricing isn't out of line in that way versus a consumer price.
yeah. Yep.
So, but
The
again, whether or not it makes a big difference, if this is a market that they've heard from, or if it simply is, we can put a patch in and sell this to a whole different group of people. Why not do it?
Yeah, and they do mention too that there's I guess an annual fee comes up of $180 afterwards to cover business services and support for the Oculus, which okay, I guess yeah, business is probably gonna want that, but I wonder. Well, I guess they can see that it's a business or it's the non login Facebook login Oculus 2, and they're like, okay, now you got to pay after a year. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I don't know this. I was
Kind of came out of nowhere and does seem surprising. Yes.
yeah yeah. I've always wanted a VR headset, and this was like one of the you know ones that it does, like the article says. It's a great machine. It's a great headset, but it's that Facebook part of it. And people obviously you can just make just a dumb account and just not use the Facebook side of it, obviously. But people worry about all the data that gets collected, and it's just like, okay, it's if I'm just making a dummy account, if they want to know my hand size and my room dimensions, that's fine. So, but yeah, it's just I thought that was just kind of interesting and weird at the same time. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward. Well, the PlayStation One is the only VR headset you have, right? Or do you have
Um,
others?
I have the
Oh, you
Rift
do have
S.
Rift too. Okay.
So, yep, or my son does. So,
Okay.
yep.
And that's
But that
Rift is.
we got it before we didn't have. Yeah, the Rift is an Oculus, so it's Oculus Rift S.
Oh, it is
Um,
Oculus, that's right. Okay.
yep, got it before you needed the Facebook account type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, for some reason, I thought that was the Valve one, but I guess that's a different one.
That's Index, right? The Valve Index.
Yeah, the Index. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one too. So, but yeah. I mean, I had been looking for a headset, and like the article says, I mean, that's a dang good price for the headset. You get 6 gigs of RAM, I believe it says. I'm trying to look for the specs here. Yeah, Snapdragon XR2 CPU, 64 gigs of storage, 1832 by 1920 per eye display, and then a pair of controllers. So yeah, I mean it's a fairly good question. I know one of my friends has one of this too, and he always raves about it too. So I mean, should um, he's always trying to get me to get one. I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know about the space too, the spacing issues. So
We don't need that much space at least with the Rift S that we have. We basically stand in a circle. There's not a whole
yeah,
lot of, and this, I think the Oculus Quest is designed for it because it doesn't. It's not a room scale thing. You're not setting up cameras. It's all
that's
inside
true.
out tracking. That it doesn't need a whole lot of space.
Yeah,
That's the one benefit of the newer models with VR that they've come away from needing kind of the camera setup aspect of it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a two at some point, so we'll have to see. Uh, like they mentioned in this article too. Do you think? I mean, they're most likely like losing money on each of these headsets, or
On the
they think
the
they'll lose some
Quest
money.
2 in
Yeah,
terms of the 299 spot, yeah, I think probably, that I think not with the enterprise edition of
yeah,
$500 and the $180 service aspect. I don't think so.
yeah,
But on the 299, yes, definitely, right? I mean, it is in that same model of councils being a loss leader, that they're getting them into that infrastructure
yeah.
more so than they are you know making the money up over the hardware. Although, I mean, this is, since it is the Quest 2, the hardware has improved from the Quest 1,
True.
in a number of different ways, but they've also, it's not the same hardware that they've just made cheaper in Nintendo style. This is new hardware that when it came out last year, it was highly touted as a really viable, a great virtual reality platform and an option for people. The real downside that a lot of critics had was kind of the Facebook integration of it
Yeah.
and the trade off there.
Yeah, I know everybody was like afraid that you'd start seeing pop-ups and stuff coming. I don't think that's happened yet, but at least not that I've heard or read. Uh, and my friend didn't say anything about that, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. How much was the PSVR? Was that $299 or $199?
Um, 299 in general. With the Move controllers and the camera,
Okay.
there's been 199 bundles with
Hmm.
just the camera, like the Gran Turismo one where you don't necessarily need the moves. That there's been holiday bundles where it's been down to 199.
Okay. I was just wondering. I couldn't remember how much it was exactly. All right, so let's wrap up here. We got our picks plays for next week. A lot of things have sold well in March: hardware, platforms, games. Most notably, the Switch, Nintendo Switch, Sony PlayStation 5, and Call of Duty Black Ops, Cold War, and Monster Hunter Rise. Let's take a couple weeks to jump on the bandwagon and play some things that are selling well or have sold well in the past. You may need not be constrained to the 4 items above, but make sure you can tie your assignments back in some way to the NPT numbers or some other sales metrics that ensures your participating in the zeitgeist, present or gone by. DB, you're going to be playing Outriders. Game Logic, well, most likely. You're shaking your head there.
Maybe. Yeah, right.
We'll see.
I've also might be playing Bravely Default 2.
Okay. Yeah.
But that didn't really pop on the. Well, it came out in. Well, maybe it came out in March, but so we'll see. Yes, but I will be playing something within that fits that.
All right. Gamer Logic is going to be playing Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch. Swiss has nothing for right now, and then I'm more than likely going to be playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
That's a shock. Oh,
Shock.
wow. I never would have expected that.
A little softball throw like Gamer Logic has been doing the last couple of weeks on his picks, or last couple of picks plays. So yeah, that's more than likely what I'll be playing. I haven't really picked up much anything else as of late, so I guess Monster Hunter, but that's already on the board. So although he's not going to be on the show next week, Mr. Game Logic. Next week's GX show will be hosted by Swiss, with myself and DBQ as co-hosts. So maybe I can jump into some Monster Hunter too. We'll see. For sure, I'll be playing Cold War. I mean, at some point, anyways. But
fair enough. You can't take it totally out of the cycle.
That's right.
So
I'll get it in there. I'll probably like most of the games I play. I could probably talk about anyway, so it doesn't really matter. DB, any last words for tonight? Anything else that you wanted to cover?
No, I mean, I think there hasn't been a ton of news. There's been bits and pieces. I think it'll be interesting as we get into the GX shows in the next couple of weeks here, and kind of some of the May releases that are coming out with, we've got Resident Evil Village that's had a couple demos or timed demos. We get the week after that, we get the Mass Effect Legendary Edition aspects. Pokemon Snap just came out or comes out tomorrow.
Yep.
And then we get into the end of May and we'll get to see what Biomutant actually is. So after 4 years of announcements about it, it'll be interesting to see what it actually is.
Yeah.
So
hopefully. Yeah. They just released, I think, there's a trailer, developer stuff.
Yeah, they had a trailer around a couple week or last week or so, and some interviews with developers. One of the things there that I learned that it was only a 20-person team, and so that in and of itself was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty to keep us talking.
Oh yeah, yep. And soon enough we'll be back into E3. So maybe we'll see how that online version goes coming up here in June. June, right? I think it was going to be in. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, sir. Thank you for being on tonight. I am TileMaster99. He is DBQ Hams. Thank you for watching. Come back next week for the GX show. That'll be episode number 191. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you next time.
Oh, for sure.